I'm here to tell you 3 big mistakes I made while planning a group trip and 3 things I got right. On this channel, I help you figure out ways you can make money doing things you like to do. So if this is the kind of thing you like, hit that subscribe button and let's get into it. My name is Rashida Dow and I am the co-founder of Exodus Summit. That is an annual summit that helps Black women take career breaks and move abroad. For the last 2 years, we planned group meetups, the first one in Cancun and the second one in 2023 in Marrakech. And mistakes were made, but the trips came out excellently. Our guests really enjoyed them. And so if you're thinking about planning a trip, I want to talk to you about what we did right, what we did wrong, and some of the results of that. I'm going to start off with the 3 big mistakes I want you to avoid. The first was overbooking activities. Now, our meetups aren't really group trips because we're not planning every aspect of every day for our guests. And I think it makes it really nice, really spacious for our guests. They can do their own thing. If they want downtime, they can take it. Our itinerary was the start date was the 21st. We had a meetup. The 22nd, we did a city tour. The 23rd, we went to the desert. This is all of April. And on the 24th, there was a day, but it was kind of a blank day for them to do what they wanted. And a lot of our women came in early as the 16th, the 15th of April. They came in days early so they could explore the city ahead of time. Now, last year in Cancun, we had a 3-day experience, but we did one event on a Friday night, nothing on a Saturday, and then one event on a Sunday. And I've got to tell you, I think that worked better. There was more time for women to plan their own events. When we did it this year, we had events back to back to back. I think some women felt like it was too much. You know, the introverts were like, it's a lot of peopling, and I don't want to do that. And so they opted out of some activities, which is fine. Not everybody wants to do everything. But I think next year, when we do this again, we're not going to have 3 back-to-back days. Instead, we're more likely to do one day, a day with nothing, and then another day. So it's the same length of the experience with less to do, but a lot of the women who came last year said they preferred that to having 3 back-to-back days because it's a lot of like stuff, right? And sometimes when you're in another country, you just want to chill or do your own thing, maybe with the group, maybe without the group, but you don't necessarily want to do everything the meeting planner wants you to do. And we're trying to be very conscientious of that. Another big mistake was designing the experience and then being very, very clear about what our guests were going to experience because we wanted them to understand everything. And then fighting with people to give our guests what we promised. When I say I designed an experience and I tried to give people what I promised, that doesn't sound like a mistake. But let me tell you where it became a mistake. We had many unreliable vendors. Our hotel was unreliable. Our tour guide was unreliable. And not unreliable in the sense that, well, the tour guide wasn't a bad person. There just seems to be a lot. I've experienced a lot of people saying yes to something and then later on saying why it can't work. Like, yes, we're going to do this activity. And then later on saying why it can't work. For example, one of the things we wanted to do was go to Marjorelle Gardens. Now, when we planned the trip, we told the woman, because we talked to our tour guide first, and he told us we were going to Marjorelle Gardens, that Marjorelle Gardens was something we were going to do on Saturday. So it's on the website. Before they bought the ticket, this is what we're doing. Marjorelle Gardens, right? And then about 3 weeks, no, maybe a month before the event, the tour guide reached out to me and said, we can't go to the gardens. And I was like, why? He told me there's a new ticketing system and it won't allow him to get 100 tickets, so we can't go. Tour guides used to be able to go to the garden, buy 100 tickets, and then, we all go. This was going to be our first event of the day, and he was saying 100 of us can't all go at the same time. When I asked for more clarification, 100 of us can't all go at the same time, and if we stagger it, it's going to mess the day up, so we can't go. So first it was he can't buy the tickets. Then it was we can all go, but we can't go at the same time, so the timing's going to be off. This is all in the same conversation. And then it is, what was it next? It's impossible. It's impossible This was like a 20-minute conversation. Every minute he's telling me it's impossible. We cannot do it. We cannot go. We have to cancel it. We have to cancel it. New ticketing system. It's impossible to get the tickets. They said we can't do it. We have to cancel Marjorie Gardens. But I sold it to the woman saying we would go to Marjorie Gardens. And so now I was like, I need to give them what I told them they're going to get, because that's who I am. If I sell you something, I need you to have that thing, right? Okay. So I say to him, okay, if we can't go to Marjorie Gardens because we sold it to them, we need to refund the money, the women, the money that the ticket price, at least the ticket price, and give them that money. So I need you to refund me the ticket money. And he paused. He said, what? I said, oh, no, we told them they're going to Marjorie Gardens, so they can't go with us, and they now need to go on their own. We need a refund. He said, okay, hold on, let me see what I can do. And the next day we had tickets. All I had to say was, give me my money back. I don't know why he entered the conversation thinking that we would, one, not go to Marjorie, and two, the event price wouldn't change. Like, he would keep, because it's a ticketed expense, right? So this is part of what you quoted us, and this is part of what we charged for. So why didn't you think I would need to give them back their money, which means you need to give me back the money I paid? It was just very weird. But it was that. So this is just one example, but it was that over and over and over and over again. Every week, it was something like that or something with a hotel. And that's why designing a really planned experience and then trying to deliver it led to a lot of headaches and frustration for me. But I'll tell you also why it was a good thing. And the problems weren't just with him, they were also with the hotel, which brings me to problem number 3, which I think is the biggest one, or like the one that I should have seen coming and I didn't, because, like, you know, I'm a lawyer. I should have thought about this, and I didn't. We went off budget. We knew we weren't going to make money from this event, because that's not why we do them. We don't do them to make money. Our goal is to break even. Our goal last year. I don't know about next year, y'all, because it's a lot of work, and we have to pay people. But because this is the bullet point here, we got off budget because we didn't negotiate every single cost before we signed the contract, right? Okay, so with the hotel was one of our biggest problems. But with the hotel, we negotiated, we saw their food, we saw the price of food for the event we were doing in the hotel. We saw the price of alcohol for the food we were doing in the hotel. And we signed the contract based on those things. We also knew we weren't doing an open bar, so the alcohol prices were kind of just for us to know and pass on information to our guests, right? We didn't talk about the prices for water and tea, juice, soda, things like that. But we signed the hotel. We told them what food we wanted. When it came to juice and water, they tried to charge us the equivalent price of food for water and juice. The exact same amount, almost $1 less per hour. And this is not, we're not doing $3 food. This is we're in the thousands of dollars at this point, thousands and thousands of dollars for food. It's a hotel. It's catering for 100 people. That's what we expect. But I don't expect that for water. And that is what they tried to charge us, the equivalent of the food budget. They tried to charge us for water and juice. But because we didn't negotiate it ahead of time, because I didn't think about the fact that I would have to negotiate for water in a hotel like that, because we didn't negotiate it ahead of time, we didn't have any leverage. The hotel was very bad overall. They lost rooms. They were terrible to work with. I'm going to add a number 4. I'm going to add a number 4 to the mistakes we made. The first time I talked to multiple vendors that we used, I thought, it's going to be terrible working with this person. I do not like the phone call we just had. I don't want to work with this person. But in multiple categories. They were highly recommended, and they were the only choice we had because we weren't getting any other recommendations, right? Some people have a lock on Marrakech. You use them, and everybody uses them, and everybody loves them. My gut told me this is not going to be good, right? This is not going to be good. Like, our tour guide was used to doing tours with small groups. We were the largest group he ever had. So yes, he may have been able to please 4 people at a time, but you can't please me with your 4 people at a time attitude when I have to please 100 women, right? Like, there are 100 women who want something. They can't get angry at me because, like, so I need you to do what I'm paying you to do. So overall, the experience went well. I don't think the women saw a lot of what was happening in the background. I think they saw me stressed a few times. They saw Stephanie stressed a few times. But they didn't see, I don't think we let them see what was happening in the background. They saw me, like, upset, but not necessarily why, and it didn't impact their experience. Like, we all went to Marjewell Gardens at the same time because it's possible. Even though he told me it was absolutely no way. There's no way to make, Rashida, it can't happen. It cannot happen. The man told me over and over again, impossible. It cannot happen. There's no way. And then when I was like, give me the money back, it immediately happened. Okay, so that was part of it. My number 4 on the list is, and it should be number 1, when you get bad vibes, end it there. I'm doing this next year. Our plan right now is to go to Cape Town next year and do this next year in Cape Town. If I get bad vibes, done. Not a question. I'm not working with you. Okay, let's move on to happier news and the things we did right. The first thing I'm going to say is a personal thing to me. I planned my life around this trip. And that sounds weird, but let me explain it to you. Because planning your life around work does not make sense. But I knew I had this work trip. I knew I was coming to Marrakech, North Africa. You know, flights to Africa from Mexico, where I live, in case this is your first time watching. I live in Mexico City. Not cheap. So what I did was I flew to London, and I stayed there for 2 weeks. And then I came to Marrakech a few days ahead of time. And then I am touring around Morocco now. I'm in Fez now, going to Tangier in a few hours. I'm spending about 3 weeks here, 2 more weeks in Portugal, and then another week in London. So I planned 2 months to be outside of home, right? To be touring around this trip, so that when the trip started, I wouldn't be jet lagged. I wouldn't be tired. I've been in this time zone for a while. I'm accustomed to it, and I can chill. The first 4 or 5 days after a trip, we did nothing. Maybe less. Maybe 3 days. Nothing. Laid around in a beautiful Riyadh in Marrakech. Laid around. Nothing to do. Chilling. And I really think that for my mental health, this was a good idea because there were so many moments of anxiety during the experience because of unreliable people. There were so many things that didn't happen the way we wanted them to that I needed time to decompress afterwards. If I had gotten right back on a flight home, I don't think this would have been an enjoyable experience for me. Number 2 on the things we did right list is also on the things we did wrong list. Let me explain this to you. I think one of the best things we did was we set expectations with our guests. We told them on the website what we were doing. We detailed it all. We went live. We have a Facebook group for this event, and we went live with them consistently, at least every other week in the time leading up to it. I think we sold tickets in December, and they sold out in 24 hours. Sold tickets in December, yay. Sold tickets in December, and then we were maybe going live in the group once a month until maybe March or April. The event was the end of April, so maybe March we started going live every 2 weeks, and then we went live every week, just making sure if anyone had questions, even if it was the same question we answered 1,000 times, they could come and ask them, so they really understood what the trip would be. I think everyone who paid attention, who read the emails we sent, because we're sending emails too, anyone who read the emails and who watched the lives and heard us talk about them in our own social media knew what to expect, and no one was surprised by anything. Every day went off as we expected it to, because we set clear expectations. And then on the back end, we made sure our providers delivered. So that was the good part. The bad part was making the providers deliver, because it was literally like every week someone would be like, I know I said I was going to do X. Or not even that. Like, I said I was going to do, I'm back to it, y'all. I'm so sorry. I got to vent about this one. We had our tour guide who had a subcontractor for something. We got to the event. The subcontractor did not deliver on what the tour guide said he was going to do. And when we said something to the subcontractor, he was like, I never agreed to that. I would have never agreed to that. And now we're looking at our tour guide, and he's like, you must have misunderstood me, which is the second time, at least, he tried to gaslight me and been like, that's not what I said. You misunderstood. No. And I'm like, we talked about this with you at least 6 times, at least. You made it very clear. I'm positive I have it in writing in my WhatsApp chat with you, that this is what's going to happen. I'm not going to look for it because y'all not going to stress me out. Like, I was like, you're not going to stress me out. But I know we have it. I know you told us. There were 4 of us on the phone. Ooh, good point. After a while with our vendor, when we were on the phone with him, I made a Google Doc, and because he was the person we were working closely with, I typed out the notes of every meeting and our expectations, what was happening on day 1, day 2, day 3, and I shared it with him so he could see the Google Doc. He can see the Google Doc. Typing it out. This is what we're doing. This is what we just talked about. So not just notes from a meeting, but notes from the meeting and the outline of how every day is going to go. Every time we talked to him and we clarified a detail, we added that detail to the day it belonged to. You see it. I see it. We're in agreement. Except as we show up to things are not happening. And he's like, huh? I said I was going to do that? No. Right? Like, okay. So you can't, in that situation, like, what can you do? There's nothing. I was like, okay, now I know I'll never work with you again. I would never recommend you. The person who uses you, I don't know how they recommend you, because you're quite terrible. And no, I'm not going to say his name. If you traveled with us, you know who it is. That's all that matters. Rant over. The third thing we did was we let them take the lead on planning some events. So there were a lot of ancillary things they wanted to do that truly we didn't want to plan, right? Some women went to waterfalls. Some women went hot air ballooning. Some women took cooking classes. All these add-on things that they had time to do, because one day our first event was at 6 p.m., right? They had that whole day to do whatever they wanted. We were working, so we weren't going to be involved, but they could do whatever they wanted. Now, one of the things we were really good about was knowing our bandwidth, because our tour guide was like, get the sign-up names, get their money, and you pay me to do it, right? So we would be the intermediary, and we were like, absolutely not. Y'all not going to sign me up for more work. Y'all not going to stress me out. Absolutely not. And this wasn't our ladies trying to get us to do it. It was the tour guide who wanted the money and wanted the work, but did not want to coordinate the work. He wanted us to coordinate the work for him. No. Okay, so we told them, whatever you want to do in the city, whatever you feel like doing in Marrakech, since we have a Facebook group, post in the group what you want to do. If you're going to a cooking class, say I'm going to a cooking class on this day and see who wants to go with you, and you guys just go, right? And if one of you wants to arrange it with our tour guide, do it like that. If one of you wants to arrange it with Airbnb, do it like that. Like whatever you want to do it. So I went to a cooking class that was arranged by someone in our group, and what she did was, I think, the best way to do it, and I hadn't thought about it until she did it. She found an Airbnb experience she liked, and she dropped the link in the group and said, I signed up for this. If anybody wants to come, I'll see you there. And so that gave people the option of signing up through the link to experience the thing with her. When people organized it with our tour guide, what they had to do was be the point person. They had to collect the money. They had to get the names. They had to make sure everybody paid them, and they went. And you know what I mean? There's a lot more organization. I'm telling you now, if you want your guests to organize things on their own, doing something like a TripAdvisor or a Vite or something where each person pays for themselves, that's the way to go. That woman, hey Etta, she picked out her experience and just dropped it in the link and said, I'll be there. If I see you, I see you. Brilliant. 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 Those of us that were leaving from the hotel or close by shared a taxi to go over. Done. Done, 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 right? But yes, I think allowing women or giving them a space to pick what extra events they wanted to do on their own. Some did nothing, right? Some just wanted to lay around all day because they're on vacation. Do it. Some wanted to go to the Medina multiple days. You have time to do that, right? Having some space for them to do it. I know I said the days were overbooked, but having some space for them to do that, which we did, because we want these to be restful experiences, and allowing them to handle that on their own was one of the best things we did for planning, because we didn't have to plan. We planned 3 events instead of planning 16 events with all the other ancillary, smaller things happening. Those are the 3 mistakes we made and the 3 things we did right. Stick around for a little bit if you want to hear all the shady things the hotel did. I've got stories. If not, thanks for watching, and I hope you subscribe. Okay, y'all, let's get to it. The hotel. Ciao. Okay, let me tell you what the hotel did. I have a list. I had to write this down. I was the main coordinator with the hotel. They canceled my room. I had 2 rooms booked. I went to transfer one to somebody else. They transferred the room to someone, canceled my room. Stephanie had 2 rooms booked. I went to transfer Stephanie's room to someone else. They transferred one of Stephanie's room and canceled Connie Perry's room, her mom. I gave them the confirmation number. Transfer this one room, right? And when we went to them, we were like, why would you cancel these rooms? Right? Rashida told us to. And it's like, that's not at all. Look at the email. That's not at all. I am a very clear person, especially in writing. This is what I said before. I gave you the confirmation number and everything. Okay. So according to them, they moved from one computer system to the other computer system. That may be true, but whoever moved them was incompetent. You know how there's been a lot of conversations lately about weaponized incompetence, like men can't grocery shop because they can't figure it out. Which, why not, right? If women can figure out grocery shopping, why can't men? Or this is not the part of the argument, right? This is not part of it. My point is that I think some of the hotel issues were weaponized incompetence. They were just like, oh, can't figure it out. I don't know what to do. What? Okay, so they may have switched computer systems, but they switched them so poorly. We had 2 women with the same first name. I think it was Kimberly. We had 3 women. We had 3 or 4 Kimberlys. We had 3 or 4 Stephanies. We have whatever. They took 2 Kimberlys and merged their bookings. 2 different confirmation numbers, 2 different everythings. They had one room for these 2 Kimberlys. 1 room. They merged them into 1 room. One person's Kimberly with the last name, Kimberly J, with Kimberly K's passport number. So when the first person showed up, they were like, that's not your name. And she was like, no, they said, we don't have a room for you. And she was like, here's my confirmation number. And they're like, oh, we see you just have a different last name. And she was like, no, I don't. This is my last name. This is what I booked it in. Whatever. Now the second Kim shows up, and they're like, we don't have a room for you. So there were a lot of women whose rooms were deleted, like mine, who didn't ask for changes, right? Like if I asked for changes and my rooms were deleted, okay, we dealt with it. But there are a lot of women whose rooms were deleted who did not ask for any changes. They just disappeared. They had to show up with their confirmation number to show that they actually had a booking. If they didn't have their actual booking that they could find in their email, I don't know what they would have done, because there was no, like we got lists every day. Not every day, at least once a week we asked the hotel who's booked. And so we had all of that record, and we would have had their confirmation number for them. But they shouldn't, when you go to a hotel and you book a room, you don't want the hotel to be like, girl, I don't know what you're talking about, which is what happened time and time again. My mom showed up. We booked a suite for ourselves, our moms, whatever. So she showed up. And when we went to check in, I asked this is the Radisson Blu. It is the Radisson Blu in Marrakech. It is the worst hotel I've ever stayed in. Do not stay in the Radisson Blu in Marrakech. Terrible service. Terrible service. I have to keep going. We're going to talk about fraudulent charges. Terrible service. Hold up. Let's go now. All right. So I'm like, I haven't said their name yet. Let me say their name. Okay. We show up to the Radisson Blu in Marrakech. The woman's checking us in. And I say to them, because I remember my room disappeared, so I don't trust nobody now. And Francis, our admin, had emailed, because my room had disappeared, because Connie Perry's room had disappeared, Stephanie's mom's room had disappeared. We emailed them and said, are our rooms right? We have 5 rooms. Are they right? They were like, yes, they're right. We had a meeting with the staff about them this morning. Your rooms are right. They're good. Blah, blah, blah. No worries, no worries. We get there. My mom has had this booking. Nothing changed on her booking. Same booking since January. This is now April. We get there. We're checking in. I say, is this a king suite is what they call their rooms. Is this a king suite? Yes. With a terrace? Yes. This is a king suite with a terrace? Yes. I ask at least 2 times during check-in. She goes to her room. People are in bed in a room that's not a suite. So it's the wrong room, and there are already people there. And it's 6 p.m., and people are a man and a woman are in the bed. Okay, so I didn't ask too many questions after that. We go back to the front desk. There's people in bed. It's an occupied room. You put her in an occupied room, and it wasn't a suite. They're like, oh, we made a mistake, blah, 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 put her in your room. An hour later, maybe, I reach out to her. I'm like, how's your room? She's like, I don't think it's a suite. Okay, so now I'm hungry. I'm tired. I was on my way to dinner. I'm like, let me go see your room. Because we got there at 6, and our rooms weren't right until about 11. So I went to my mom's room. It is not a suite. It is a regular hotel room with like a chair like smushed in the corner. Just smushed. I'm like, this is not a suite. The bellman who dropped off her bags was like, oh no, this isn't a suite. It's obvious, we're expecting a room with a couch because this is what we paid for. This is our expectation at this point. Okay, so I go downstairs and I speak to the same woman I spoke to at check-in before. We've talked to someone 3 times about this room. This 3rd time, I'm like, hey, I got there. I just left her room and it's not a suite. And she's supposed to be in a suite. So she clickety-clacks on the computer and she's like, well, her confirmation doesn't say that she gets a suite. It says she's not supposed to be in a suite. And I was like, but when I checked in, I asked you multiple times if it was a suite. And you said yes multiple times. Now, why would you say yes multiple times if you weren't putting her in a suite? If it wasn't on her confirmation, why would you do it? And then she was like, well, show me the confirmation. So I show it to her, and it says a suite, and she was like, oh. So our mom's in her room around 11:30. What I don't know that's going on at this time is they put Stephanie in a junior suite in a construction zone. It seems like they didn't have enough rooms ready. They were laying carpet. There was a smell of like varnish or something. It was a junior suite in a construction zone. She couldn't go up couldn't go up the main elevator, so she had to walk around back to get. We are 2 people who have booked more than a quarter of every room in your hotel. Not even just the available ones, because some of them are clearly under construction, so we're not available. More than a quarter of every single room for over 5 nights, right? Like, you couldn't show us the respect of giving us the rooms we booked? Child, speaking of disrespect, so the hotel is flourishing with all of these Black women just in here flourishing. Now, no one's going to say it's Africa. Everyone's, no. There was an obvious change in the amount of Blackness in the hotel from our first day there and the last day of the event when women started leaving. An obvious change. It was significantly Blacker and beautiful. I'm one of the leads who has the most contact with the hotel. Stephanie is one of the leads. One of our women gets hurt, and she can't come down to breakfast because they have a breakfast buffet that's included. Not very good, but whatever. It's mostly continental, I would say. Okay, so I'm taking her a bottle of water, and we're trying to leave. And we explained to the lady, hey, there's someone hurt. She's like, you can't take the water. I'm like, okay, well, there's someone hurt. She hasn't had room service come in. She hasn't, because we get 2 bottles of water a day in the hotel room. And I'm like, but she can't have housekeeping come in because she can't get up to answer the door because she hurt her ankle. So I need to bring her water. And she's like, oh, let me go talk to her manager. The manager walks over and he's like, you can't take the water. My mom has the water under her arm, and he snatches the bottle away. And it's like, it's 40 dirham. 40 dirham is like 45 dirham. That's like $4.50. Okay. I was like, okay, charge it to the room. He walks away with the bottle, goes over to the computer, and it's clickety-clacking, clickety-clacking, clickety-clacking. It's water for someone who cannot leave her room and cannot open the door to receive anything, right? The guy comes over and he's like, we put bottles of water in your room every day. And I'm like, there is a woman who cannot get out of her bed. We are bringing her water. Super attitude. And I was like, you snatched something away? Like, you know we are here. You know that I am the coordinator of this event. And you reached up to my mama and snatched something out of her arm? We get the bill. We get the bill for our rooms and what we paid for in the hotel overall, the meetup and stuff. When I tell you the Radisson Blu had fake charges on everybody's bill. Now, I'm not saying it was intentional. I'm just saying that the bills over and over and over, I didn't charge that. That's not, no, didn't do that. Stephanie had a room, a minibar charge, and she never even opened the minibar. We booked a shuttle, and then we canceled the shuttle like the next day, so we never used the shuttle. When we got our bill, it wasn't on our bill when we checked in. It was the shuttle, we booked it days before we checked in, and that bill wasn't on there when we checked in. There's no notice, there's no information about that. When we're checking out, there's a shuttle bill. And we were like, no, because we canceled this way in advance. You shouldn't be charged us for this. Cool. It's off Stephanie's bill. I looked at my mom's bill the last time, my bill and my mom's bill, because I was paying those. I looked at them the last time at 3 p.m. Francis at 3 p.m. went down and took care of Stephanie's bill. It's done, or like had them take off the things that weren't us, because we spent hours together going over the bill because nothing matched. Nothing. We had an overall bill with all of our rooms and all of the expenses we had, and from our room bills to the overall bill, the prices of the rooms didn't match. The taxes that were supposed to be charged didn't match. Nothing matched. The number of nights we stayed didn't match. So we had to look carefully at every bill. We spent a total over 2 days, spent a total of, between me, Francis, and Stephanie, I would say at least 20 hours on a bill for 5 rooms and a meet and greet. 20 hours. Okay. Anyhow, let me finish that story. Francis went down and told them, these are not our invoice, these are not our things, we're not paying for them. The shuttle charge came off of Stephanie's bill, but now, between 3 o'clock when I last saw the bill, when Francis went downstairs and took that off Stephanie's bill, and 6 o'clock when I went to pay the bill, there's now a shuttle charge on my mom's bill. If you know my mama, you know she did not call for a shuttle. She did not use a shuttle. How she gets where she's going is somebody else's business. Somebody gonna take her where she needs to go. She's not calling a shuttle. And I was like, what? A woman was like, are you going to pay the shuttle bill on the charge? And I was like, no, because there's no shuttle bill because we never used a shuttle. And she was like, oh, and deleted it. I'm like, well, why are you so casual about deleting this? You didn't ask for proof. You didn't ask for anything. Were y'all just adding things and hoping you get away with it? It was so bad. It was so terrible. So we're doing about 20 minutes. And then Francis spent 4 hours in the lobby on Sunday working on the bill with the employees. Stephanie went down to clear everything out on the last day because we were in our cooking class. And she'd spent an hour on the bill by the time I got back. And when I got back, they were like, the problem Stephanie was having was they were like, there's no way, they can't find a way to show that we've paid in full. We've paid in full. And they're like, yeah, just take our word for it. And we're like, no, you have all our credit cards on file. And the individual rooms still say we owe money because we paid it in this like overall bill, right? This kind of global bill. All the individual rooms still say we owe money. They were like, just no, we won't bill you. It's not a big deal. What are you worried about? Like, I'm worried about weaponized incompetence, carelessness, the left foot not knowing what the right foot is doing. Like, you say you're not going to charge us, but someone else could not realize this and just charge us. So my credit card that the hotel had has been frozen since the day. Oh, let me tell you, I checked in on the 19th. They put a hold on my card on the 21st without saying anything. I'm just walking through the hotel on the 21st, and I see a charge pop up in my card with no explanation. No explanation. And I was like, I was getting ready for the meet and greet. I was like, I can't get upset about this right now. I can't get upset about why on a day when I haven't been at the front desk. No one has said anything to me. I haven't gotten an email. They've had my email since December. I haven't talked to anyone about anything. Why I'm getting about $1,000 charged on my credit card. I was like, I'll deal with this later. I can't. I was like, not right now. I'm trying to have a good time with the ladies. Okay. So we've spent 20 hours on this. The last day, we're like, we can't show you. We can't. There's no way. The system doesn't show you can do this. And we're like, no, you need to find a way to show us that we paid in full. So they sent us the email saying we paid in full. They sent us, and they gave us our individual room bills. And I was like, they don't say paid in full. And they're like, well, we can't do that. And I'm like, 4 of them don't say paid in full. 1 of them does say it has a zero balance. So the way this one bill out of the 5 says we have a zero balance, I need you to go back and do that on every bill. And he was like, I'm like, if you can do it on 1 bill, you can do it on the rest, right? If you can zero out 1 bill, you can zero out 5. We're on like hour 3 of 5 of us sitting in the lobby now waiting for this. The sales manager, who was so rude to me on a call once, but I had to leave the call. I'll leave it to Francis. So rude, so disrespectful. Comes by and he's like, I hope you ladies had a good time. It's the 25th. I've been here since the 19th. You know who I am. You know what I look like because we've been on a video call. And you have not said anything to me yet. You waited until we were checking out to say something. We saw the hotel manager and was like, hey, the Radisson Blu Marrakech hotel manager. And we're like, hey, can we talk to you? He's like, I'm going into a meeting. I'll be right out. I'll be right back with you guys. We were in the lobby for another 2 hours, never saw that man again. Saw everybody else leave the meeting and walk right past us. I don't know which way he went, but he went on the avoid the women who were unhappy way. So even the hotel manager, who we'd emailed before and not responded to us, so I didn't have high hopes, even him avoided us. The sales manager was like, oh, hope it was great. Okay, bye. As we're telling him his grievances, he was just like, we were like, this wasn't right. Our bills weren't right. Our rooms weren't right. He said, but I've responded to your emails every time. And I'm like, but you didn't do anything correctly, right? You can respond to the emails, but if you don't do it correctly, what's the point? Okay. We have spent 20 hours on the bill. We have confirmation from everybody that it's paid. We finally get out of here. We're in the lobby. We're calling our taxi. We're ready to go. The bellman says my name. And I'm like, what do you want? He said, you need to go back upstairs to the lobby. Baby! Absolutely not. I was like, no. He said, the front desk needs you to come back to the lobby. No, I won't. Whoever needs to talk to me at the front desk can come downstairs because I have done this too many times. So he talked to them and he's like, can you get on the phone? So I was like, okay, I'll get on the phone. A man whose name I don't remember. We've talked to the sales manager. He knows our bill is paid in full. We talked to the assistant sales manager. He's the one who was like, what is there to worry about? We talked to the duty manager for the hotel. They're all like, bill is paid. We're done, 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 done. The front desk man calls me, tells the bellman to stop me in the lobby. I get on the phone and he says, you need to come back upstairs because there are minibar charges on your room. If you don't get the F, the way I screamed at that man on the phone about what I wasn't going to do and how I started naming off names. You need to speak to X, Y, and Z because they know our bill is paid in full. Because not once did I use a minibar. Not a single time. I didn't eat your Nestle Crunch. I didn't eat anything from the minibar. So there should be no minibar charges on my room. So why? After I have clarified everything, I have talked to 3 different managers of the hotel who know our bill is paid in full, why are you calling me to tell me I can't leave the hotel because I need to come up and pay a minibar charge? I have paid you in the last, before and now. You have records saying I have paid you 5 figures. 5. Unless I stole the minibar fridge, leave me alone. Unless I literally picked it up and walked out the room, leave me alone. But not just that, I didn't touch the minibar at all. Not at all, not a little bit. I did not touch anything in the minibar. And after I filled more than 1/4, probably 30%, yes, close to 30% of the rooms you had for at least 5 nights in the hotel. You want to hit me up about a minibar charge? A fraudulent minibar charge? A fraudulent minibar charge. On some don't let her leave stuff, child, the Radisson Blu in Marrakech, worst hotel I ever stayed in, would never go back there. Ever. Ever, ever. I think I may never go to another Radisson Blu again. Truly, I may never stay in another Radisson Blu again. They're not my hotel brand anyway, so it's no big deal. But like the service was so bad. And there's a difference between like something being bad and someone caring about correcting it, but maybe they don't know how to do it. What we got over and over again was people who did not care about correcting the issue, and that's what was really frustrating. They've confirmed everything is paid in full. I put a hold on my card because you're not going to charge me for nothing else. Because my card was the card on the main account. Y'all not going to catch me slipping, right? I have emails saying paid in full. We done. And we did it after we checked out of the hotel. We had checked out, and it says, you've looked at everything. We've paid in full. You're not going to catch me. All right, put a freeze on my card. Why did Stephanie's mom get a charge on her card like 2 days later? And it said pending. And I don't even know what happened with that. But why is there a new charge days later on her card? And it wasn't isolated to us. There were many women who were like, yeah, I went downstairs because there were charges on my card that shouldn't have been there. Multiple women were saying there are charges on my card, on my room. There are room charges that I never made. Y'all were just charging stuff to our rooms and thinking we wouldn't notice? And then when we say something, you guys are like, oh, we have a new system. Your new system lost our rooms, combined our names, charged incorrect things to our room, put us in rooms with people already in bed. Is that what the new system did? Y'all shouldn't have implemented this new system because you're not ready. You're not ready to use it. You're not ready. So overall, loved our Marrakech experience with the ladies. Never stay at the Radisson Blu Marrakech. Trash hotel, trash staff. There were 2 great staff people, the duty manager and the head of housekeeping. Without them, we would have had a very bad experience. Stephanie's room only got changed from a junior suite to a real suite because we spoke to the head of housekeeping. The front desk was like, and the head of housekeeping, I think Stephanie's mom ran into him in the elevator and he was like, I can figure this out. Give me a minute, and changed her to a new room. The front desk staff, even though we paid for a suite, the front desk staff was like, get it how you live. Oh, who cares? Literally, the attitude was like, why are you bothering us with the details? Like staying in the room we have a confirmation for. Why? Okay. I had to get that off my chest. I've been holding in a lot about this hotel. A lot. The sales manager, let me say this. This man was so disrespectful on the call with me. So disrespectful. Cutting me off. We've already signed the contract at this point, which is why we didn't get out of it. Cutting me off. Talking over me. Getting loud. So disrespectful. I was like, I won't be doing this with you. I told him, I do not let people talk to me like this. And I was like, so I'm going to leave this call. And I said a few more things. I made myself the bad guy when he was being rude so that Francis, who was on the call as well, could be the good guy and close it up. And once I was rude with him, we got in the sales part of it. He started giving us things, right? Once I was like, oh, this is not how you talk to me. Once I got bitchy, he was like, oh, okay. And did the things we asked for. Before I got bitchy, he was like, there's no way I'm not doing that. I'm like, we're just asking. We're not asking for a lot. When I got bitchy, he gave us what we wanted and way more. And it was like, do I have to be a jerk here for you to do simple things like customer service things? Is that what has to happen? That's what had to happen. So overall, we made some business mistakes. The hotel was absolutely T-rash. Would never stay there, would never recommend it. Do not do it to yourself, right? Because it's not just that we had a large group and it wasn't good. It was that the individual experiences were more complicated. Check-in for each person was about 45 minutes. 45 minutes. Why? At one point, I walked downstairs. I was having a problem, and there's some glass in the wall. There's a wall where they have like a little office, but there's some glass where they can see out. And I'm standing there, and no one's coming out. They see me. There's a woman looking dead at me. She sees me. She doesn't come out, and there's no one else down there. So I say, hello. I stick my head kind of in, but not like all the way into their office. I'm like, hello. And someone responds, hello. I'm standing at the front desk of a hotel where there's no front desk staff right now. If I say hello and you respond back with hello, I assume you have no interest in helping me. Because, baby, I'm not just here for my health. Right? Like, I've been standing here for at least 5 minutes, and you've been looking at me. I'm standing at the front desk. I see you looking at me. And you're not going to come out? And when I stick my head in, your immediate response, and like, bring your attention to, in case you missed me, bring your attention to the fact that I'm here. No one moved. You responded with like, hello, and then a pause. Pause, 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 pause. And I have to be like, I need some help, which is why I'm at the front desk. Trash. No interest in helping you. Very terrible service overall. 2 people made it okay, but the rest of the hotel, like the Radisson needs to know how bad they are. Terrible. I will never stay at an. I really don't think I'd ever stay. I honestly have like I saw a Radisson Blu, I think in Casablanca, somewhere in the places we've been to in the past week, and I was like, nope, can't do it, won't do it, won't even look. Might have great reviews, might be a completely different place. I don't think I can ever stay in a Radisson Blu again. The service was the worst service I've ever had in a hotel, ever, anywhere, and I was a business traveler for a while, so I've stayed in many, 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 many hotels. The worst. Anyway, that's my rant. That's my time. Cape Town's going to be easier. We already know we're changing things around. It's not going to be like this. The first whiff of a bad attitude, and I'm out with any vendor. I'm gone. Contract or no, I'm gone. So I'm looking forward to that. And I will talk to you guys next time. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe, like, thumbs up, turn on notifications, and I'll see you next time. Bye.